making a little video on how to day trade. I wouldn't say day trade for a living. Right now, I'm just doing it as a hobby. Um, well, number one, you got to have something good to trade. Knowing what to trade is a lot better a lot of times than knowing what not to trade. So, or vice versa, knowing what not to trade is better than knowing what to trade. Um, I use FinViz a lot just to get some kind of hot stock for the day. My preference is earnings before, good, what I call earnings winners, stocks that have had good earnings for the quarter. You can get them either before or after, earnings after, right here. If nothing comes up there, you look for unusual volume. I like, number one, you want to make sure the market's up for the day. That helps a lot. If you're trying to buy and go long on something, betting on it to go up, if you have the market momentum behind you, it's just extra wind behind your sales, so that helps. Number one. Vice versa, if you want to bet against something, you want to short something for the day, well, it's better if the market's going down or if it's topping out at least, but sometime in the near future. But so what I did on today, had a successful day trade, made 95 cents per share in about 18 minutes, exactly 18 minutes. Maybe a few seconds on that, I don't know. At first, I looked under earnings before, and nothing came up. I mean, a couple of them were decent. So I look. So you bring this up. Number one, you're going to look at your gain right here. This is per share. It's already lost 2 cents per share, so you don't want to buy that one. So you look for something that's up. I prefer at least $1, $2 per share. Now you're gonna get a lot of pop-ups. This is on finviz.com. You're gonna get a lot of pop-ups, but it's just something you got to deal with. This one here is decent, CDY, but it's out of China, so I'd probably Singapore. I'd probably pass on that just because it's not U.S. Diversified machinery. I mean, right now we're dealing with coronavirus. Factory shutdowns in China, so I'd probably stay away from China stuff, even though it's up 15%. It probably had some big news event. You can look down here for the news. Make sure you got the day right. 6 a.m. news event came out. Fourth quarter results. Probably had a decent quarter. I tell you, a quick way to pull up quarter results is I use Seeking Alpha. SeekingAlpha.com. Pull that up. Find your search bar and type in, what was the ticker? CDY? Yeah, CYD. CYD. All right, type in CYD. Then go to earnings. Go down there, find your first news event. That's November. That's not it. Yeah, that's probably because they're China. This could be no, that's September. Well, a lot of times they'll have a news event. Let me find one in the U.S. That would be. There's another China. HQI. Small cap. Alright, let's pull HQI up, see what it looks like. HQI. If you're researching, not really much on that one either. A lot of these small caps are LEGH. I know that one has it because I looked it up this morning. They are a housing builder, I'm guessing. I should look for under earnings. Right here. No. Wow. Okay. November. Let me just go under summary. Yeah, here we go. Today, we got 9:25 this morning. It came out. They beat on both ends. Which is good. 23.7%. That's really good. Year over year. That means last year, this quarter, last year, they've had a 23.7% growth in revenue. I had one of my mentors taught me that, I mean, double digits, anything 15, 10, 20% growth for a small company, that's pretty significant. So I was going to play this one, but they didn't have enough volume for the day. Average volume 37,000. I think today's volume was close to that when I looked at it. Let's just pull it up. Click on the chart, it'll bring up the actual page data on it. I mean, decent stats. I mean, nothing, everything's been beat up from the last down cycle. But what I like about FinViz, you get it all in one whack. Your average volume is 37,000. Today's volume only 20,000 on good earnings. I mean, that's not very inspiring to say the least. So that's why I didn't trade it. And it's probably a good thing I did because it's way off the highs. I mean, you can tell by the candlestick it was 11 probably at the open, and then now it's down around below $10. I mean, so it's down $1, from probably where it opened. But so I couldn't really find much. There wasn't a whole lot to choose from on the earnings today, so I just went with the unusual volume. You click over here, it's going to bring up a list of your unusual volume. You can weed out all the junk if you want to. Go to click custom. If you want, you can subscribe to stock charts, and you can do a lot. These are the stuff I like to pull up in my custom. Just look at real quick glimpse. You go to your filters. You can filter out all this. Filter out all the junk. Like change the country to USA. Change your price to, I'd say, at least over $10. That's going to weed out a lot of the penny stocks, all the junk. Current volume, I want at least over 100,000 per day, because any less than that volume, it makes it too easy for the market maker that controls the available shares to the public. It makes it too easy for them to cheat you or to steal your money, because they can control the price action. If there's not enough volatility, not enough shares traded per day, the market makers will cheat you. It'll literally, buy and sell between between 2 or 3 different accounts. He drives the price down against you, and it's called shaking out the weak hands. If you want to Google that, you'll probably find some information. Watch stock charts, videos, YouTube. I mean, you can get a lot of free education from stockcharts.com. Anyway, and then I changed the technical information. Of course, you want to go long today, bet for something to go up. You want it up for the day, obviously. So I mean, that right there alone, that isolated down to 20, maybe 30 stocks. You could isolate what you really, you could do it by price change if you want, or percent change. You can do it by volume. Sort by volume. Just click these icons and it'll sort high to low, low to high, price to earnings. My custom chart. This isn't. I got it set up different on my phone, but a lot of times I just do it on my phone. I just the sector and industry. Kind of shorten some of that up. I do like to look at, where's that at? It's institutional transactions and insider transactions. If those two are positive, that's a pretty good indicator. And I also like to look for dividend, because most short sellers know that if they short it and they're wrong, they are paying for the dividend, whatever percentage it is. All right. So, the market cap, all this stuff doesn't really matter. I guess it does a little bit, but not that much. You can pull a target price on it too. That's an estimate from the analyst. Of course, if it's below that, if you got a good target price, so especially if you've got an analyst that's upgraded a stock and has raised the price. Like you look here, the target price 99 on this one, price is 79, so you've got some room. You might actually, be able to make some money on it. There's no guarantee, but it's just another tool. Just another notch in the belt. Anyway, you look at your volume for the day. You want the ones that are trading a lot. They have a lot of volume. Probably one of the first things I do is I look for both of these to be positive: insider and institutional transaction. Institutions are your hedge funds. Goldman Sachs, J.P. Morgan, your big dogs. They're the ones with all the money. So if they're not buying something, then it has a less likely chance of going up. I'm not saying, they can't, they might cure cancer or something if it's a pharmaceutical or something, but most likely they're probably going to be, a bump on a log. They either trade sideways or they go down. That's usually what they do. So if you don't have institutional, exposure, I prefer Goldman Sachs. If you're looking, it took me 7-8 years to finally figure that out. I wish if I'd have known that day one, I'd have saved myself a lot of time, a lot of headache, a lot of lost money, a lot of sleepless nights. This institutional transactions, pretty good little column right here. You got this positive right here, 540. Now, insiders, you got some insider selling, maybe a CEO, maybe a VP, maybe, who knows? Could have been a director, some little peon. That's not a lot, minus 1.34%. That's nothing. Depends on how many shares they own. But, I was looking down here, and the best one was this IMVT. I don't care what they do. They're a biotech, which is risky. So I'm not going to hold it overnight. I'm not going to marry the stock. I don't even know what they do. I don't know what kind of drugs they make. All I know is somebody bought 239% increase in exposure. Some institutional, some hedge fund increased. So that's enough right there to send off a buy signal for me. So, and it had decent volume when I found it, so I pulled it up, looked at the stats a little bit. The stats is all their fundamental information right here. They're not making money, they're losing money. They don't have a price to earnings ratio. They don't have any of that. The quick ratio is good. Current ratio is good. Anything above 1.0 on that, you at least know they have enough cash to cover their debts. So they shouldn't be filing bankruptcy on you anytime soon. If you wanted to analyze that a little closer, you could go to Yahoo Finance, or Finance Yahoo. I used to have it bookmarked, but FinanceYahoo.com. Pull it up. Find your ticker, search, look up a quote. It's kind of different on your phone if you want to use your phone, but IMVT's the ticker. Type that in, hit enter, or search, click on the search, whatever you want. Computer's a little slow since I'm recording. Should bring up the ticker eventually. Let's try it up here. IMVT. Yep. Okay. It's a little different. What's going on with Yahoo? Yeah, I've got it bookmarked under stats. So pull it up. Yeah, it's running way slow. Medical marijuana, first stock I ever bought. Penny stock. It's pretty much the same price I bought it 8 years ago. Actually, I bought it for 4.5 cents. 4.5, so I'd be down almost 400%, something like that. IMVT, yeah, okay. All right, so got your statistics right here. You want to look at that. Pretty much all your fundamental information. On a pharmaceutical stock, you want to look at your total cash. It's positive, 123 million. It's not bad. And their cash flow, operating cash flow, is negative. They're burning through almost 43 million per year. So you'd want 2 to 3 times that number right there if it's negative to be this number right here. So that's pretty close, 120. You take 40 million times 3. They're pretty close 3 years. So they got 3 years of cash in reserves. So there's not a huge likelihood that they might do what they call a secondary financing. If they run out of money, especially pharmaceuticals, they burn through a lot of money doing clinical trials. If they run out of money, they're going to call Goldman Sachs up and say, hey, we need some money. How about we sell you 100 million shares at 30, 40, 50% discount where the price is today? They do the deal. They get their money. Next day, you wake up, check your stock. You're down 30, 40, 50%. Half your money's gone out of your account, and you don't know why. Probably because of this right here. The cash flow wasn't enough. They were burning through too much money. They didn't have enough cash, and they needed money, and so they, Another thing I look at is the short percentage of the float. It says 7% on this one. They were at, I think, below 5% on FinViz, but when I bought this morning. Let's see what they show. Short ratio, yeah, 6.82 now. Or no, 5 point, short float, 5.03. So it's a little above 5, so it's getting a little iffy, But what I like about FinViz is it automatically draws your resistance levels, which is kind of like your ceiling. Your support would be down here, or down here. It's already broke below that, so I'll probably use this level. But so you got double top indicators. That's usually a bearish indicator. When you see this double top, it doesn't always work. Obviously everybody, not everybody, but most stocks had pretty rough 3 or 4 weeks. Um, so it's already touched resistance right there. So I would I wouldn't hold it overnight. I'd probably there's a good chance it could go right back down tomorrow. And pharmaceuticals. If you look at the news, they had phase two, results or something, clinical results. So phase two is not that great. I mean, if it was phase three, maybe. If they had something about FDA approval or something like that, that'd be a lot better deal. Um, these little tricks of the trade. I mean, you kind of got to pick up over time. I bought two different gurus systems for 5,000 a piece. Um, just the education alone, over 10 grand, and then old school of hard knocks. Probably at least another 5,000, and just you know lessons learned. Just trying to figure the game out. Um, I've heard it said that you can figure your first 5-10 years day trading. Just write that off as tuition, because you're gonna make mistakes. You're gonna it's just part of the game. But all right, so we found us a stock. It's got good volume, decent news. It's up over $1 a share. You know, I don't want to pull up a chart on it, right? So I go to my stock charts. I use stock charts for my charting just because I think they're good. They got a lot of different indicators that you don't get to use on even like TD Ameritrade. I use TD Ameritrade for charting and trading, but they don't have some of these indicators. I use the Pro package. Costs like $50 a month. So anyway, you go over here to stock charts. You type in your ticker right here if you want to. I had it right here. You can type it in either place, and then I put it on a 5-minute chart. Okay, so 5-minute for day trading, that's pretty decent. I change this; it's going to refresh it every 5 seconds. Okay. Then your indicators, I like to set up a force 13 and a force 2. Number 1. All right, so you go down here. This is where you change all your stuff. So I'm going to put my force indicator right there. I'm going to select that. I think by default it's 13. And then I put another one right below it. I put them above my chart. You can put it above or below it. I do like the volume. MACD. Change that. I think default is... I think it's 12:26:9. So I just cut it in half to make it a faster indicator on the MACD histogram. It's kind of a momentum indicator. It's a little slower than your Force 2 index. So I actually prefer the Force 2 now. I mean, that's my go-to indicator. I use the MACD as kind of a confirmation. Once your MACD flips, if it's negative like it was right here, below your 0 line, if it's negative, that's bad. Now, once it starts retracing, they call this your wintertime phase right here. And when it starts getting better, that is your springtime. What they call spring. It's like you're planting your seed. Your seed starts coming up, starts getting better, more. Right here's your summertime growth. Summertime and your fall. Usually when the price starts falling, that's your fall right there. And then you went back into wintertime. And you can look with your chart exactly what it did. You had your summertime, spring, shoot up. Your fall, it dipped down. This is all a 5-minute. Each one of these bars indicates 5 minutes of trading. So I mean, this is pretty fast. It's not super fast. I mean, you could do it on a 2-minute, 1 minute if you wanted to. It's a good way to time dips, though. Like say, when you got your dip and it starts getting a little better, well, that's a pretty good indicator that there's less selling. Okay, there's less selling pressure. You look at your 2 force. right here. Let's pull this up. Here again, you got your 2-force indicator, number 2. It's 2 times your average true range indicator. Average true range is your average that it would move in a 5-minute period times 2, so a 10-minute period. And you can tell when it dips below 0, like when it peaked right here, well, your 13 was still positive, so that's good. Okay, so it's still showing strength on long term. Well, you got a little short-term weakness that pulled back. I mean, you could have timed it right here. I could have timed it better. I was late to the party. I didn't even find this stock till nearly 9:15, 9:30. I usually start looking around 9 for something like this, and then try to catch it on a dip. Lunchtime dips are ideal. Usually between 11 to 1. Sometimes you can get a little AM dip though, right off the open, like I did. Caught it around 9:30. That was Central Time. Everything here is on Eastern Time. Which is, the market opens at 9:30 Eastern, closes at 4. So a lot of times you'll get a little lunchtime dip, like it did today. Day traders that trade for a living, they look at if they have a day job also, they take their lunch break somewhere between 11 and 1 Eastern Time. They check their stock. If they're up, they're probably going to take profits. They're going to sell. So a lot of times when they start selling, price starts dropping. When you can get 5-10% discount a lot of times just during lunchtime. Trade, from anywhere. I've seen some strategies say they just wait till 1 o'clock Eastern Time, buy it whatever price it's at. If it goes up, it goes up. It goes down, you sell your losses quick. Cut your losses quickly. Maybe hold it throughout the end of the day if you got a strong market. If you got a good news event, if you got a good earnings, I'd say maybe. But for me, I like to get in, get out, make my money. Another indicator I watch. I've got this set on a 20 EMA. That's an exponential moving average. Go down here. That's your chart overlay. It overlays your chart. Exponential moving average right here. Set that on a 20. Go down there. It's right there. Set that on a 20. That's a nice moving average, compounded, that gives you a pretty good buy. If it dipped down and touched this 20 EMA, I definitely would have been a buyer, all over this. But it never actually got to it. What I was watching when I got in is when this 2-force index moved back above 0. It was right around, right around 9:30. Now that would have been maybe 9:15, I guess Central Time. So 10:15 Eastern Time. It gave the indicator, went above 0. I decided to trust it. It's like, normally I would have waited for this dip down here. But a lot of times if you wait for that, or if you wait for this MACD to go positive, you're going to be late to the party. You're going to miss, maybe, who knows? I mean, if it's moving fast, you can miss 15, 20, 25 cents a share, maybe 50 cents a share. And this one did start moving fast. Once it cracked, really, it's like I may have just got lucky and got 15.05. I got $15.05 was my bid. And at the time, I think they had, the high bid was like 15.04. And the ask price, which is what somebody was willing to sell at, was like $15.19. I was like, well, the market maker's trying to cheat people on that probably, because that's what they call a huge spread. Anything over 5-10 cents on a spread between what they bid and the ask, that's a pretty big significance. You can look up here on your ask if you want to get that. You got to select this full quote button, and it'll give you your current bid and ask. So right now, if you wanted to buy it, you got to buy off the I mean, if you want to buy it like fast, you give the ask price. The asking price, you pay $15.92 per share. Okay, well, somebody's willing to sell it, or willing to buy it right now for $15.75. Okay, so that's a pretty significant, almost a 20-cent spread right there. I mean, that's huge. Um, you can tell your force indicator just went positive though. So, market makers probably run the price back up. He's trying to trap some short sellers probably. Your indicators just started rolling, curving back up. That's a decent sign. Your 20 EMA is turning back up. You can look at your zoom. If you can't hardly see it, you can click down here on your zoom thumbnail. That kind of like puts a magnifying glass over it. It makes it where you can see it easier. I use the Ichimoku cloud also. I shortened it up. I cut it in half on the time frame. It's kind of like your MACD indicator, pretty much the same thing. It's momentum. Kind of gives you a price level. May or may not be exact all the time. I mean, you have different rules on that. Rick Benzinger or Benzinwa, Bensignor, I think that's how he spells it. He's really good on this Ichimoku. Probably a professional. I mean, not probably. He definitely is a professional. Utmost expert. He's been doing it for 40 years. Claims there's a little variance in the rules of Ichimoku that didn't get translated properly from Japan to English, or Japanese to English. He actually hired a translator to teach him. I mean, the guy used to work for, I think it was J.P. Morgan or somebody for 20, 30 years as a hedge fund manager, I believe. So, anyway, look him up. He's awesome to follow. He uses Tom DeMark's system. It's ideal for timing, even for day trades. But I mean, it's high. It's expensive. It's $2,600 a month through Bloomberg. It's called TD Sequential. It's outrageous unless you're trading with 50 to 100,000. I mean, I wouldn't do it with a small account, but unless you're going to do long-term trades with it or something. But so anyway, that's another thing I look at. My lines. I use these Keltner bands. I got the Keltner and the impulse system is what makes your candlesticks red or green or blue. I got that off Alexander Elder, Dr. Alexander Elder's book. I think it's called Trading for a Living. I highly recommend that one. That one definitely changed my game when I read that book. Doesn't go into great detail how to set it up, especially through stock charts. There's a guy named Greg Schnell. He mentioned it on one of his daily webinars, kind of how to set it up. Just happened to find that by accident, but Mr. Alexander Elder sets it up on a Keltner channel, 21-1-21, and then the next one will be 21-2-21, 21-3-21, and this is based on the average true range. Your 1, 2, and 3x is based on your average true range, what it moves in a 5-minute period. And then he usually uses 11 exponential or some kind of moving average. His Elder Impulse system, you can use it on stock charts probably for free, but you can't set up more than, I think, 1 or 2 indicators for free. But the Elder Impulse system, that's what changes your candlesticks. I mean, it's almost like a street light. Green obviously is going up. And green means go or buy. Blue, kind of a neutral signal, kind of like putting your car in neutral. If you're going down the highway, reach up and put it in neutral. It may start slowing down. It could go up some more. Probably going to pull back on you if it's had a big spurt. People are going to take profits. Market makers going to create some volatility. But sure enough, it turned blue. Would have been a good time to take profits. Pull back. And then your timing, you can wait for it to go green or your bars, to start retracing right here. That's a pretty good indicator. Your force indicator goes positive on your 2X. Even though it's blue, I like buying when it's still blue, because then that way you don't miss the whole action. Once it goes green, a lot of times it moves so fast. I mean, literally a 15-minute period. Each one of these candlesticks 5 minutes. 15 minutes, you miss the whole trade. I mean, it was over. I mean, I barely had time to even tell some close friends about it. I mean, I don't even think I had time to do that. But so after I bought it, I got a good feel. I got ideal. I mean, I could have bought it over here even better, but my indicator wasn't positive yet, even though it was improving. This indicator would have showed in real time that it was improving. Like over here, now you get real time results. I mean, maybe a 5-second delay. See, it just turned back down. So I mean, and each one of these got to wait for a 5 minute, before it's gonna finalize your candlestick or your indicator. Here's your volume right here. So you're watching for volume spikes. Anything above average volume or so that gives you a pretty good idea. I mean, that was my buy signal right here when it crossed above the 0 line. That's a positive, and then your long-term force 13x is positive. So that's when I pulled the trigger, bought it, got a good feel. Well, actually, I got a bad feel. What they call getting a bad feel through TD Ameritrade is it's kind of BS what they do, but they do it quite a bit. They do it all the time. Here's my account on TD Ameritrade. I started out so nobody can steal my account information, but you go to the monitor button. Over here shows you your trades for the day. See, I put in a $100 buy option, or 100 shares. I put in 100 shares. Well, they kind of screwed me because they filled it in 2 different orders. TD Ameritrade is kind of bad about this. I'll be the first one to tell you. Sometimes they won't give you all of your shares in one order so they can get more fees out of you. They charge you, when you first open an account, they're probably going to charge you $9.99 per share, or per trade. So it's $9.99 to buy it, $9.99 to sell it. So you're down $20 before you ever even make a penny on this thing. So, but if they get 2 orders out of you, they get $9.99 for each one of these orders, and then you got $9.99 to sell it. So, I negotiated it down. I called them up and said, "Hey, dude, Scottrade's got it $5, $6 a share. You're either gonna have to match it, or I'm going somewhere else." I promise you, they will lower it, especially if you have a decent sized account. 5, 10 grand. I think I may only have like $500 at the time when I negotiated it. I might have put $5 grand in there. I can't remember, but so yeah, I mean, don't be afraid to call these guys or chat them up. Go over here and message support chat. Text them, say, "Hey, dude, I want a better deal, or I'm going somewhere else." You can go to Robinhood. They don't charge any fees. I mean, they don't have this charting. They don't have the tools, that TD Ameritrade has. But if you wanted to, you can put, $500 in a TD Ameritrade. That way, you got the charting tools, and nothing else. And then, just use Robinhood for your trades. Now, Robinhood, you may get a slower fill, what they call slow fills. I put in 1505. I mean, it barely. You pull up the chart. Around, let's see, when did I trade? It was around 9:34. On a monitor, go to your trade times. Trade times over here was 9:34 and 21 seconds. So we go to charts and look around 9:30 mark. Your high and low. I got the exact low of 1505 when where it traded. 1505. There's the bottom of your candle, 1505. Now, if you had a little tail sticking out of that candle, that would be your lowest low, wherever the bottom of that is. But yeah, around 9:30, Yeah, 934 is when I bought it. So I got the exact low. I mean, that very seldom happens. Usually you're going to get kind of middle of the road. You just try to make the best of it. And I didn't time it exactly the best. I mean, I missed. This thing spiked up to $16.97 after I sold it at $16. I took a $16 trade because I bought it $15.05. My goal was to make $1.50 a share on it right quick. It worked. I timed the momentum right. That's worth a lot. If you can get the momentum in your favor, you're at least swimming with the current, not against the current. That's the whole thing with day trading. You got to learn how to time stuff, find momentum, find decent volume. You got to find. Usually, it needs some kind of news event to try to push it. So that's why I use FinViz to try to find decent stuff. But anyway, back to the stock charts. Let's see. No, I didn't need that. Let's close that out. Might make it run a little faster. Okay, so back to my stock charts account. You set up your Keltners, set up your impulse system, set up your forces, your histogram on your MACD. Just choose MACD histogram. RSI is good too. Also, 14. You could speed that up. You could do that on a 5 or 10. Your OBV, on balance volume. Obviously if that's going up, that's a good sign. It was starting to go up around 10, 10:30, 10:15. I use this RRG for momentum also. It's a little late to the party. It did top out. I mean, it definitely topped out at the right time. Your RSI is a good indicator, relative strength index, what that stands for. And when that got above 70, that's a real good indicator that there's more buying than there is selling. So there's definitely some strength right in this little time frame that I bought between 10:15, 10:30. I bought 10:34. You can see your 10:30 mark was right here. And briefly after that, man, it exploded. You look at your chart, like I say, 15 minutes, 45 minutes, this trade was over. I mean, you could have let it ride, waited for a red candle, but you're going to give up, what? There's 1650 to 1575. I mean, you're giving up, what? 75 cents? No thanks. I mean, my whole trade, I made 95 cents per share. That's the whole thing. I mean, the more money you have, if I would have added another zero on my account, say I would have had, 15,000 to do this trade with, you could add another zero on your profit also. That would have been $950 profit, you buy 100 shares, you make 95 cents a share, you made 95 bucks. You buy 1,000 shares, you add another zero on your profit too. So, I mean, it's, with me just testing this out, I wanted to make sure that it was tradable. I wanted to make sure it was, doable. Not even an earnings winner, just on a daily news event. I mean, it works. I mean, it just, it takes a lot of practice. But so anyway, that's about the end of this video. If you have any questions, you can email me or text me, chat me up. I'll be happy to help you out, get started if you want to. So let me know how it works for you. Thanks.